لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على خير خلق الله أجمعين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. All praise is due to Allah, and we ask Allah to exalt the mention and grant peace to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to his companions, and to each and every one who follows them on their righteous path until the day of judgment. Brothers in Islam, I want you to recall an event in your life. If you have been involved in da'wah for some time, even if it's a short time, most likely you came across the following situation. You're sitting with a non-Muslim and you're trying to explain some Islamic point, and all of a sudden, as Dr. Yahya, may Allah bless him and increase his life and goodness, mentioned, he asks you a question which you don't know the answer for. Or you have a point you want to prove. You know it's part of Islam because you've heard it from someone else, but you don't know the evidence. You don't know which ayah it is, and you don't know which hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even though you have something to say, you're unable to say it. In both circumstances, the main defect in the da'wah, that which interrupts the da'wah, that which blocks the da'wah, is lack of knowledge, not knowing. Had you known, the result would have been different. Had you had an answer for that question, you would have been able to convince the invitee, the one you're inviting to Islam, about the truth behind that misconception they had. Or you would have been able to explain what you feel strongly about to that person, which may be the turning point for them to become Muslims. If we only knew. So let me put it this way. A da'i without knowledge is like a handyman without a toolbox. You know, they bring him here, they say, look, this is kharban, it's the air condition, it's not working, the switch. And he knows exactly what he needs to do, but he doesn't have a toolbox. No screwdriver, no hammer, nothing. He can look for 3 hours at the switch. Will he be able to fix it without tools? A da'i, one who calls to Islam with no knowledge, is like a handyman with no toolbox. A da'i without knowledge is like a teacher without a voice. He's in class, he has all these students before him, and he wants to explain to them something in grammar, but he's mute. And he is using sign language, he's writing information on the board, and the students are not comprehending because they don't hear anything. It's like a teacher without a voice. A da'i without knowledge is like a general in the army with no authority. They give him the title, he's a general, maybe have 3, 4 stars. However, when he speaks to the soldiers, they look at him, Khali Wali. Who's this guy? You see the frustration? He's a general, he's a big shot, speaks to the people, so forget about this guy. And last but not least, a da'i without knowledge is like a salesman without merchandise. You're speaking to the customer, you know, we have the best product, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he says, okay, fine. So, where's the stuff? I say, oh yeah, I don't have anything. These examples I gave you, all of them have the element of frustration. Da'wah not being fulfilled because of a shortcoming in the one inviting to Islam. Which, first, it decreases your status. Second, it interrupts the message of Islam from being delivered to the people. And thirdly, it will affect your motivation for da'wah. But let's look at it from a positive perspective. This was the negative. From a positive perspective, imagine if you loved Islam so much that everything that you are doing 24/7 has to do with Islam in one way or another. You are fascinated with learning. You have some people who are fascinated with video games. He can stay behind a PlayStation for 6 hours, no problem. No school, no salah, no eating. They can play. And some people are addicted to television. And some people are addicted to music. And everyone has an addiction. Imagine if your addiction was da'wah. And all day you're either listening to a lecture, reading a book, discussing da'wah. What level would you reach? You will not believe what Allah will give you. You will reach a position where you become an encyclopedia. You will become an encyclopedia in a single man. Any situation, any circumstance, any non-Muslim, of any religion, of any background, Catholic, born again, Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't matter. Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, you have an answer for every single problem they have. That is a blessing from Allah that requires effort. You wish you can go to sleep and wake up the next day and boom, there you are. But it doesn't work this way. We need to reach that level. If each one of you here, in the next few days, inshallah, in this camp or whatever you call it, if you make the sincere effort to truly learn every single thing that is taught to you, then you carry on with this motivation outside this session, and each one here becomes a successful da'i. Perhaps the number of non-Muslims who embrace Islam will double or triple or even things that we cannot even imagine. But if we don't, if we turn it into a social gathering where we get to chit-chat and know each other, and we keep the element of learning minimum, then we will definitely lose as a group of Muslims. Many of the things I want to say are based on Dr. Yahya's presentation. And obviously, I cannot do as good of a job. But I will try to supplement as a duo, since we're both from the Jeddah Da'wah Center. We will actually try to do a duo in terms of presenting what is intended to be presented tonight. The objective is that we learn Islam according to textual evidences, not logic, because your logic is different than mine, different than the doctor's, different than his. Everyone has his own perception of knowledge. According to the textual evidences, meaning the Qur'an, an ayah in the book of Allah, or a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ which is authentic, or a statement of the Sahabi, companion of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or the Tabi'een. This is the goal and objective. If we don't attain it, then we have failed. Either I as a speaker or you, my brothers, as listeners, we would have failed in our goal and objective. It is not an academic gathering where you hear information, wallah, that sounds nice, and khalas. No. We need to learn, implement, and share it with the rest of the people.